Hello everyone, welcome to the M2L31 series Level 1 training course. In this video, we're going to walk you through a low power SPI example project. We'll show you how, in low power mode, you can use auto operation mode to let a pressure sensor continuously output both pressure and temperature values while keeping the system power consumption very low. You can download the example program from the link in the video description below. Once you've downloaded it, just extract the files and open the project in the Kyle development environment, following the provided path. In this demo, the M2L31 runs in auto operation mode using low power SPI, low power PDMA, and a low power timer to periodically read data from a pressure sensor. Every 500 milliseconds, the low power timer automatically triggers a low power SPI transfer. Command data stored in low power SRAM is sent by PDMA to the SPI TX FIFO and transmitted to the sensor. The sensor response is received into the SPI RX FIFO and then moved back to low power SRAM by PDMA. Only after the transfer is finished does the system generate an interrupt, wake up the CPU, process the data, and then return to low power mode to save energy. The program uses an add-on board called the M2L31 Learning Board, which has SPI interface pressure sensor, which part number is BMP280. Next, let's use the bus matrix to look at the relationship between the different peripherals. Here, the CPU acts as a master and can read from and write to peripherals in the low power domain. Inside the low power domain, low power PDMA is also a master. It can read data from low power SRAM and write it directly into low power SPI, completing the data transfer without waking up the CPU. Before we dive into the code itself, let's first take a look at some key low power SPI APIs. The first one is the LPSPI WriteTX function. This function writes the data you want to send into the low power SPI TX buffer. When running in master mode, that data is then transmitted out through the MOSI pin. On the other hand, we have the LPSPI readRx function. This one is used to read data from the RX buffer, which stores the data received by low power SPI. Again, in master mode, this function reads one piece of data that comes in through the MISO pin. Next, it's the API used to trigger auto operation mode. The low power SPI set auto trigger source function is used to define when low power SPI should automatically start a transfer without any involvement from the CPU. With this API, you first select the SPI module and then specify the trigger source. In this example, the trigger source is the tick timer, so every time the tick timer event occurs, the low power SPI will automatically perform one data transfer on its own. Next, let's talk about how we set the receive count in auto operation mode. The low power SPI set auto RX TCNT function lets you define how many data items low power SPI should receive in one automatic transfer. Once the specified number of data items has been received, that auto operation cycle is completed. After that, the SPI simply waits for the next trigger event before starting the next transfer. Next, let's move on to the code itself and start from the main function, where you can see the overall structure of this example. In this low power SPI demo, the key components we use are the low power timer, low power SPI, and low power PDMA. These three modules work together to handle the entire automatic transfer flow. As for the initial system setup, like the minimum current init, system init, and UART init functions, you can refer to the low power timer sample code video for detailed explanations. First, let's set up the low power timer. Here, we configure it to run periodically, counting every 500 milliseconds. At the end of each count, it automatically triggers the Low Power SPI to start a data transfer. Inside the Low Power SPI auto operation flow, a Low Power PDMA is used to handle both sending and receiving data, so the whole process runs automatically without waking up the CPU. Here, you can see the key flow of Low Power SPI in auto operation mode. We use the low power timer as the trigger source. Every time the timer reaches its set count, the Low Power SPI automatically starts a transfer. At the same time, we also set how many data bytes the Low Power SPI RX should receive, so the hardware can automatically complete the reception. In this example, we set the length to 6 bytes because the pressure sensor we're using, the BMP280, sends back data in a format of 3 bytes for pressure and 3 bytes for temperature, giving a total of 6 bytes per transfer. Next, let's take a closer look at how Low Power PDMA handles data transfers once the hardware is automatically triggered. Here we use 2 PDMA channels to handle the separate needs of sending and receiving data through Low Power SPI. Channel 0 moves the command data for the pressure sensor into the Low Power SPI TX FIFO. Channel 1 takes the sensor's response from the Low Power SPI RX FIFO and transfers it into a destination array in memory. Once the CPU wakes up, it simply reads the data from this destination array to perform the calculations, giving you the actual pressure and temperature values. Finally, we set the system to read 6 rounds of data. Each round consists of 6 bytes, with 3 bytes for pressure and 3 bytes for temperature. Next, we'll actually flash this program onto the M2L31 development board and take a look at how this demo works in real life. Now, you can open the Kyle project file from the path we mentioned earlier. Next, click Build to compile the project. Once the compilation is complete, connect the development board to your PC via the debugger's USB port. Then, click Download to flash the program onto the board. Once the program is successfully flashed, we can open a serial communication tool. Make sure to turn on the TX switch on the development board, as we mentioned earlier. You'll then be able to see the pressure and temperature values from the sensor displayed in the terminal. Next, let's use a current measurement tool to see how much power the system is actually consuming. From the results, we can see that because we don't need to wake up the CPU constantly in this application, the overall average current consumption is only around 30 microamps. This demonstrates just how efficient the system can be when using Low Power SPI with auto operation mode. By following the program flow, you can directly observe the system in action during the current measurement. You can also try sending more data per transfer cycle and see how it affects the low power consumption. This is a great way to explore how data volume impacts the system's energy efficiency. That wraps up our introduction to the Low Power SPI sample code in this training session. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to learn more, please feel free to reach out to us.